It is past midday in Israel today, and we're still waiting for the Prime Minister to decide whether these reforms will stop or these reforms will go ahead. On the one hand, we should really understand the complexity. If these reforms go ahead, then they face the real prospect of losing the vote in the Knesset. This is because Yoav Gallant, his defense minister, who has recently been fired for stepping out of the party line and going against these reforms, he has joined the ranks of people such as Yuli Edelstein and Nir Barkat, who have previously called to halt these reforms. And so if there is no chance that the government will be able to pass these reforms if a lot of its own members vote against them. On the other hand, if the reforms are stopped, Ben Gvir has already threatened to leave of the coalition, and Smotrich may follow suit as well, in which case, if this happens, then the coalition will lose its majority in the Knesset. In such a scenario, elections could be looming right around the corner. More than this, if the Prime Minister stops these elections, he's putting himself on the line. There has been a shift in the dialogue of the protesters, and many of them are already now calling for the removal of the Prime Minister. This is beyond just the reforms. This has now changed from a reform protest to a government protest. They are protesting the government and the Prime Minister himself, or at least the Prime Minister. They are in favour of Gallant as Defence Minister. They want him reinstated, and yet they want Bibi removed. This is an absurd situation. However, on the other hand, if he holds these reforms, he is not only giving in to them, he is also sacrificing the mandate that his party has been elected on. And this is a very difficult decision that we should really understand. And this really helps us to see the classic issue that the right has been plagued with for over 30 years and even more, in that in election time, they do very well and they get large majorities in the Knesset. However, when it comes to day-to-day running of the country and when they need feedback of their supporters, it is silent. There's only one media outlet that has a feedback of a right-wing nature, and yet even then, that is not enough to counter these protesters. They need to have coalition members out in the streets. They need to have them in every single visible place in society, and with protesters with them, with people behind their backs showing support. There is none of that. There has been no campaigning for these reforms on the side of the right-wing government. And so looking ahead, the chances are that these reforms will be stopped. And in this case, I think that the next stage in these protests will be protesting against the Prime Minister himself.